Good day, scholars. This week we're going to be taking a small break from our regularly scheduled learning to to learn a few basic skills using Google Maps. And specifically today we're going to be looking at how to find distances between 2 points. Now this is a relatively short skill set here, but I thought it would be important that we practice this because it is something you're going to be using quite a bit as you get older, most likely, or at least tools similar to Google Maps. So let's get started. Let's first go to the link to Google Maps that's here in the bottom left of the assignment. You can also go through Google and just search for it and get to maps, but there is a link there on the assignment to make it easier for you. Once you're at Google Maps here, I'm just going to scroll out a little bit. I suggest you scroll out to be able to see the basically the entire continental United States here. So now that I got Google Maps open, let me go back to the assignment. Let's see what we got to do here. There are 3 slides, okay, each with a different chart with some different stuff in it. The first 2 slides are very similar to each other, and the third's a little bit different. So let's go through the first 2 ones here. The first one here, you'll see all these cities. So we got San Francisco, Los Angeles, Portland, and San Francisco again. First off, ignore the black boxes. Those are there because those are redundant. You do not need to fill anything in those black boxes. Let me show you how to do each of these. So the first thing is we need to complete all of the spaces on this travel chart by entering the road distance between the 2 towns. So that's the key number we need, is the road distance between the 2 towns here. So if we go on the x-axis here, we'll see Los Angeles, and on our y-axis, we have San Francisco. So in this box where San Francisco and Los Angeles meet, let me right here. So Los Angeles and San Francisco, in this box, you need to put a number. That is the road distance between these 2 cities, right? So if I'm doing the next one here, if I put Portland and Los Angeles, this box here would be a number, the number of miles between Portland and Los Angeles. So let's do San Francisco and Los Angeles first, all right? So I'm going to go to Google Maps, and if you know where Los Angeles and San Francisco are, you could very easily just go to them right here, and you'll see, okay, there's Los Angeles, there's San Francisco. And you could just alt-click on a Chromebook or right-click if you have a mouse and click on directions from here, go to San Francisco, right-click directions to here, and it will give you the number that you're looking for, right? 382 miles, also on this little tag here, 382 miles. So that could be one way of finding that distance. Let's pretend you don't know where Los Angeles and San Francisco are, all right? You could first go to search for Google Maps and find Los Angeles, and it will take you to it. And then you could also click directions and choose a starting point, and our starting point would then be San Francisco, California. And that will give you the distance between the 2 cities as well. So you can always put in one here and then one here, and find the distance, or you can do it the other way. But right now we've got 382 miles as our distance between these 2 cities. So I'm going to go back to our assignment, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and it was 382. So I'm going to type in 382 miles. And make sure you use the units, all right? And we're going to be using standard, not metric this time, just because it's a little bit understandable for you guys. So next one is Los Angeles and Portland. So let's do this. So I have Los Angeles here already. I could just change this one to Portland. And you can do Oregon or Maine or Texas if you really cared. But I'm going to do Oregon. And again, it's giving me my distance, 961. So I'm going to go back to the assignment, 961 miles. Okay, and then you could just do all of Los Angeles next, put those numbers in, and then move on to San Francisco and put all those numbers in. Let's do one from San Francisco to Portland. So I'm gonna close out of this just to kind of demonstrate again how to do this. So let's say you don't know where Portland is or San Francisco is. I'm gonna get rid of Los Angeles by clicking on this little X, and I'm just gonna search for Portland. So it's highlighted Portland. Now I can click on directions and choose my other point, which is San Francisco. And again, it gives you my, and use the shortest one you have. So in this case, it's 634 miles. And it gives me that number here. And it also gives me the number here. All right, so now I'm going to go back 634 miles. And same thing for the rest of these. So when you want to do the very bottom right one, Edmonton and Montreal, right? So those are both Canadian cities, right? If you know where they're at, you very well could scroll out and find them. All right, so there's Montreal, but maybe we don't know where Edmonton is. So if we know where Montreal is, we could right click and do directions from here. We could get rid of this first. We could right click and do directions from here and then type in Montreal or type in Edmonton. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for Edmonton first, actually. And it is in Alberta, Canada. So it's going to be all the way over here. So there's Edmonton in Canada. And if I want to find the distance from Edmonton to Montreal, which is over here, I could go to Montreal and right click and say directions to here, because I already have Edmonton selected. Or I can just click on directions that is over here. So I have Edmonton in one, and then I type in Montreal, which is a French name, I believe. And it will load, and it will give me that. So right there, it's giving me kilometers. Okay, so if it's 3,583 kilometers, I need to make sure I put that in there, right? 3583. 3583, and then km per kilometers. That's why it's important we have our units. So that's what you're doing for this one and the second one. Okay, these are very similar to each other. I just put it on a separate one because there wasn't enough room on this first one. Okay, so you're doing the same thing with these ones. Then this third one here, you'll see it says, using Google Maps, complete all the space on this travel chart by entering the road distance between 5 towns and cities of your own choosing. So you're going to choose 5 different cities and put them into this column here, and the same exact ones into this column. So for city 1, if I choose Albuquerque for city 1, I'm going to put Albuquerque right here as well. If I choose Las Cruces as my other city, number 2, I'm going to put Las Cruces in city number 2 as well. Right? Let's say if I choose Orlando, Florida, I'll put Orlando as well in city 3. Then let's do I don't know, St. Louis, Missouri for number 4, because that's where I grew up. That'd be fun. And then the last one, I'm going to choose, I don't know, Detroit, Michigan. You can do all New Mexico ones. You can do whatever cities you want as long as a road connects those 2 cities. So now in this case, right, if I go down my list, I have Albuquerque and Las Cruces. Okay, so I need to go back to our map. I'm going to get rid of this old one. Go back to New Mexico, so that's what those 2 cities are. So I've got Albuquerque. I'm going to Alt-click if you've got a Chromebook, or you can just right-click if you have a mouse. Directions from here. And look, it still has Edmonton, which is we don't want that, right? We want Albuquerque to Las Cruces. So I'm going to change this. I'm going to backspace on that, and I'm going to change it to Las Cruces, New Mexico. And there we have our distance. Right, we find it here, and we also have it here as well. So 223 miles. So I go back to my assignment, 223 miles. All right? And then you just do the same thing with the other cities that you chose. So it would be Albuquerque and Orlando in this box. It would be Las Cruces and Orlando in this box. Right? Orlando and St. Louis in this box here. So you just follow the X and Y axes to figure out what 2 cities you're finding the distance for. Okay? So you're going through these slides. You have Monday and Tuesday to complete this. If you need any help, please reach out. There are breakout rooms for you to go into. And of course, you can always go back earlier in the video and rewatch any portions you're having trouble with.